Building a brand is not just about getting people in the door. It's about creating the kind of rich and dynamic experience that makes people want to come and stay. And at this point, you should have a brand strategy. Either because you've taken a workshop with Creative Voices and I've actually built that out with you, or because you took our free brand strategy 101 class here on YouTube or built it somewhere else. Brand strategy is absolutely the first step. But now comes the daily work of living it out. And that work, that's brand building. And if you genuinely care about your work, if you want to do something with personality, and you feel like you're constantly chasing sales, chasing customers, chasing donations, whatever it is, then very likely brand building is the natural next step for you. And you may be small, but building a brand this way is how you compete in a really noisy, competitive marketplace, often full of much bigger operations. And at the end of this class, I want you to feel confident knowing that your daily work is going toward actively bringing your brand strategy to life in a memorable and genuine way. And there are 10 lessons that make up this brand building class. And I'm going to go through them really fast so you know what to expect over the next few weeks. So we're going to start with this lesson. Don't just build a business, build a brand. And then we move on to the art of brand building. We're going to go over 6 philosophies for long-term thriving. Then lesson 3, brand recognition versus brand loyalty. Lesson 4, brand building versus marketing. Lesson 5, authenticity wins. Lesson 6, we're going to go through some personality case studies. Lesson 7, how to nurture people who will never pay you. Lesson 8, we're actually going to build a fictional brand together from the ground up in about 15 minutes. Lesson 9, the small shop revival. And lesson 10, brand building and life building. The purpose of brand building at its most basic level is loyalty. People choosing you over someone else. People wanting to stick around. And work, when done this way, is about relationship building, not just selling. And we all want to be treated like we matter. Uniquely, individually, like our time and our lives and our dreams matter. And no matter how small, we all need to feel important. I want this, you want this, your customers want this. Have you ever had like a nightmare of an experience trying to get a refund or a replacement or some problem sorted out with a big company? It's their screw up. And it's taking a ridiculous amount of your time to get it fixed, to get it straightened out. It's so frustrating. That kind of blatant dismissal. It tells us that our time does not matter to them. And here is where all of those annoying childhood lessons are actually kind of useful. Treat others as you like to be treated. It really is so simple. So as you're building a rich and authentic experience, what you're really doing is repeatedly treating people like they matter. You're treating them like they are more than just a sale to you, which is as it should be. Respect and dignity go a long way. And in return, people want to shop with you. They want to follow you, no matter the platform. And that, my friends, that's a brand. And this brand building approach is about growing and progressing over time, having your work and your efforts build on each other, over time. It's residual. You continue to benefit from work you've already done. And sales, by contrast, people can easily slip into this place where they're just chasing repeating work. They're doing the same work day in and day out, and if you were to stop, everything you built would just disappear. There is no residual. And there's no residual because you haven't earned loyalty. So why do I care? Why are we doing this brand building class together? Because brands built this way, they stand out. They stand out from the endless gray landscape of sameness. I mean, think about it. What I want in a brand is something unique, something human, traces of the person who made it infused into it. These are the types of brands that stand out in my mind. These are the hidden little gems I found all over. I found them in London and Nashville and San Luis Obispo and Barcelona and Miami. And I think that we all want more of these in our lives. And that's why we're here. I'm here to help you take what's in your head and bring it into the world. And yes, there is a type of idealism to thinking about brand building this way. But there are also some very real tactical benefits too. At its most basic level, loyalty is going to make everything else you do as a business easier and more effective. You can move locations, raise your prices, attract better talent. You'll rely less on paid ad placement, and every dollar you spend on your marketing will go further. But there's another benefit to authentic brand building that I think is just as important in your long-term success. You're going to like your work more. The goal is not just to get through, but to thrive, to enjoy your days, to enjoy your work, not just the end result and what comes from your work. And if you're here, the assumption is that you care about your work and you have a passion for getting that into the world, actually helping people in some small way, in some big way, which means you want to elevate. So the next question is, do you have a brand guideline handbook? Sure, you probably know intrinsically what you stand for and why you care, but can you say it simply? Can everyone who works for you say it too? And if not, what are you waiting for? This is something that the big businesses all do. They know the power of it, and you should absolutely be doing it too. And sure, most big company strategies are really unrealistic for smaller operations. But brand building, having a brand guideline handbook, this is both entirely accessible and wildly powerful for small businesses. You need to be able to name your brand values, your brand promise, your brand aesthetic, your brand audience. In fact, I would argue that this is even more powerful for you as a small operation because it's a competitive marketplace. And more often than not, you're up against businesses and organizations that are much bigger than yours. You need to be excellent to stand out. And sure, you may not have the big teams and the fatty budgets, but you do bring some really unique tools to the table that I don't want you to overlook. Small operations are able to adapt quickly. They're able to bring more personality into their business. They're able to provide a better customer service experience. These are all places where you, being small, are uniquely capable, and these are often the very same places where big companies struggle. And so making the most of what you do differently very often means the difference between success and failure. And that is why we're here. You bring the care and drive, and I bring the tools you need to build the kind of memorable, thriving brand that I know is possible for you. I'm a really big believer in finding people who help you know things for yourself, what the right path is for you, the right decision. And the opposite of this is, of course, someone who's a little too eager to define for you what that right path or decision ought to be. And this distinction is subtle, but it's really critical. What you want is frameworks, not templates. And what I'm here to do is to give you the tools to help you find your own way. Because when more of us step out, do the heavy lifting, create authentic brands and authentic lives, it's radical in its own quiet way, and it gives others permission to do the same, to step out too. And when enough of us do this, imagine the ripples of good that will start. It has the power to transform our seas of sameness into a rich tapestry of unique and interesting businesses and nonprofits that reflect the humanity of the people who made them. And right now is kind of an interesting moment in history because by economic measures, we're doing really well. Unemployment is low, wages are high, and historically, these numbers indicate thriving. But it doesn't quite feel like that. Instead, it feels like entire generations of us are sprinting and still barely ahead of something nipping at our heels. Burnout, and all the myriad of ways that burnout can look. So what we're doing here is not just helping you build a brand. It's building the kind of brand that you can serve well for years, for decades. We're not just brand building, but life building. Do something you care about, do it well, and live your life. Bake bread and watch the sunset and walk the dog more. I think our mental health would benefit from thoughtfully making room for a little bit more of the idyllic in our days. And this, to me, is what it means to build something that lasts, to do something over time. And when you peel away the veneer, the sales and the growth and the dollars, it's really just about humans doing business with humans. That's what lasts. That's what's underneath it all. And Maya Angelou said it best. People will forget what you said, and they will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Think about these moments for you. These moments that stand out because of how they made you feel. Have you ever had a brand do this for you, or a boss or an employee, maybe even a happy customer? Study these things. Take them to heart.